Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on Mythic Gaming, I am honored to bring you Zach McAtee and Tim Espy of Level 1 Games. Greetings, gentlemen.
Hi.
Good evening. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm glad to be back with you guys and to catch up. What has been new and exciting in your world since last time we spoke? I guess we'll start.
Um, yeah, sure. I was gonna say I'll start real quick if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
hmm
Cool. Yeah. I was gonna say it's excellent talking to you. It's been a little bit, right? 2 months, I
Yeah,
think,
a
since
couple
we
of
last spoke.
months.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was hoping to get in contact again, so it's great. But yeah. So what's been going on with us? Yeah, the store has been busy as usual, which is good. Um, we got our normal Magic the Gathering stuff going on. We got some Pokemon stuff going on. I can fill you in on some Pokemon craziness in a little bit, but we'll get there. Um, but yeah, so it's just basically the same old, if you will, at the store, which is a good thing. So yeah, we're continuing to be busy, and a bunch of stuff that's been coming out has been fun, and it's been fun to keep up with. But yeah. So
And
everything's been going well, which is good.
I'm glad to hear that. And Zach, how about with you?
Doing all right. Jamie and I have been having a good time lately. Just celebrated our cat Odin's birthday, and on a
Happy birthday.
non-gaming related thing. Thank you. We had entered and won a contest to get like professional portraits done with him. So we're looking forward to receiving them once they finish putting it together. Uh, but yeah, doing well, all things considered.
I'm glad to hear that, and I know there's been a lot going on with gaming, and I guess let's start with role-playing games. Tim, anything new come out role-playing game-wise in the past couple of months or in the near future?
Yes. So there was it was the DM guide that came out in January to correspond with the new player's handbook that came out, the new, 2025 version. Um, I don't think there's a, I don't think there's an official name for it yet. But people just calling it like 5.5E maybe or something.
I've heard 5.5e. I've heard just Dungeons and Dragons 2024 and 2025. That's pretty much what I've heard.
Right, yeah, that's kind of what I gathered as well. But yeah, so the new um fancy local game store cover came out, which is always really nice to see the alternate version for the cover. Um but we do get some copies of the regular like classic D&D cover, because people that have been collecting D&D books, for how long now, you know however many years, right? um they all correspond with one another because they're all the same book end. um so we do get some of the regular ones for those customers that like their classic style.
Mhm. Yeah, I heard that the new, I haven't seen the new system and I haven't really read much about it. I saw a few videos, but I believe it's backwards compatible with the fifth edition.
Right, yeah, Zach. You were a little bit more familiar, I think. I think it's pretty much compatible all with like D&D 5e, but just changed a couple things around.
Yeah, what I had heard was it's kind of like a streamlined and more approachable version of the 5e rules. So there's not like too many major changes, but it's a lot of smaller things here and there that kind of make it easier to like pick up and actually know how to play. Uh, a lot of people who I've talked to who have read it said that it's a very well written, especially for people new to the hobby. That like they frame things very well in explanatory manners and make it less like reading a dusty ancient tome and more like reading a book, so it's a bit more engaging.
I'll check it out eventually. Right now, I'm not really doing Dungeons and Dragons with the role plays that I'm running. But I love following the system, and a lot of times they have insights that are very fun and easy to integrate into whatever I happen to be doing at the time.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they've released any, more modules or expansions. They've just been focusing on it was the player's handbook and then the DM guide and then Monster Manual, I think is coming in March, I believe. Oh, we're in March. So maybe sometime this month.
Yeah, I
Maybe
heard
today
it.
even, because it's usually the third Tuesday.
Yeah, I heard that it was either out or coming out very soon.
Yeah, so there you go. But so it's probably today.
So, do you think they'll be introducing new modules or expanding the old ones?
I would most certainly think that they're going to be coming out with some new stuff that, especially correlates with how the new rules work and stuff. I don't know where, which would be interesting. There's some magic stuff that would be interesting to see, but we'll also get there eventually too.
Have they come out with any Dungeons Dragons magic card sets? I know they'd come out with one or two in the past. Do you think they'll come out with another one in the future?
Yeah, so they've come out with the two previous, and then there was, I don't know if it was spoiled for this year or next year. I thought that there was another um D&D adjacent story or card set to come along with something that was coming out. That's what I've heard, but they're usually pretty good about not releasing too much stuff too far in advance. Um this most recent stuff with Magic coming out is probably the most furthest I've seen them talk about stuff. And that was only two sets ahead of time. Um, so they're usually pretty quiet about it. They'll give little spoilers about stuff, but not too much.
Yeah, thanks. Zach, how about you? Any role-playing game excitement in the past couple of months or in the near future?
Yeah, so one thing that just came out, I think they announced it a couple of days ago. The One Ring RPG that is currently published by Free League is putting out two new starter sets, which is a bit of an odd choice because they already made a starter set and they're, pretty heavy into the line at this point. But it's a good thing because people were worried if they were going to keep the IP and keep producing stuff for the system or not, given that the previous publisher like tapped out when they were about to do the second edition of it. But so they have two products coming out. I think a couple months they come out for pre-order. It's going to be a starter set for the One Ring system itself, and then they also have a companion series of books where it adapts stuff from the One Ring system to be used 5e compatible. And so there's going to be a starter set released for each of those two different systems.
Oh, that sounds exciting. I'm sure it'll add the depth and complexity to what is already a deep and complex game.
Yeah, they've done a good job so far with all the different supplements that they've been releasing. The most recent one before this was a compilation of locations and adventures. They, at least in 2e, they haven't really put out a book that this is like a campaign book. They've been putting out a lot of here's different parts of the map and like story seeds and small mini campaigns in that area. Um, my favorite from the last book, you come across an island that was once home to the Dunedain. It is currently under the lordship of a king of seagulls, who is a
Ah,
seagull roughly the size of a pony. And so he's got a court of birds and small animals. And like the adventure they suggest is at some point, if the PCs like get in a shipwreck or something similar, maybe they wash up on his small island. And in return for help getting back to the mainland, they're like, oh, we have this dread beast that has been slaying our people for the past moon. If you can slay this for us, then we will help you get where you need to go. and they describe it as this huge, menacing, like you're like, oh my god, it's a dragon, it's something terrible, and it's just a fox. It's just a regular fox that has swum to the island, but they're all small birds and everything. So to them, it's like this hideous beast.
Yeah, I love when they take the normal and make it seem bizarre, and in the process show you how bizarre it truly is.
Yeah.
I found a D&D 5e, I guess, book called Echoes of Olympus, and it's another attempt to fuse Dungeons and Dragons with Greek mythology. So I haven't read it yet, but it has very nice artwork in it. So that's what I'll be doing on and off for the next couple of weeks.
Very nice.
Nice. And then there's one other thing that I got that RPG related. Have I ever brought up there's a company called Mork Borg
Mhm.
before?
Yes, you've talked about it. Yes.
Okay. So they just came out with another one. Um it's called Punk is Dead. I think I sent Zach, did I send you the
Yeah, you
pictures
sent
of
me
it?
a picture of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like just a square book, but it's bright pink with a black vinyl on it. And like I said, it's called Punk is Dead. And the A is the anarchy symbol, of course. Um and they call it, it's a post-apocalyptic songwriting tabletop RPG. Um so they just reading the blurb about it. It says that it takes place in a place called the Ununited Kingdom.
Oh,
So nuclear war and pandemics and stuff like that and monsters. But with the whole like point of the Morkborg kind of thing is that it's like open source and like anybody can create stuff and they'll usually make another book with the user submitted stuff. So, like if you or I came up with a story or a campaign, you could submit it and it could be printed in one of their future, like DIY release books, which is fun. Um, but with Morkborg stuff, it's all meant to be like pretty easy. They say that you can like learn the basic rules and stuff within 45 minutes or so and play and teach and play and be ready to go in like 45 minutes. With not too many things that you need, pencil and a few die, and that's it really. But I'm quickly amassing a decent collection of the Morkborg stuff just because if you look up online, the art in all of their stuff is just so good.
yeah.
It's really, really, really cool, and some of it's pretty gruesome too, which is fun. Um, but yeah, it's all their stuff is not meant to be super serious. Just from what I've gathered, just the overall like vibe of it. Um, like they provide character sheets actually. If you go on their website, it's just free that you can download. And the one for Punk is Dead, like some of the traits, it's just stage presence and streetwise, and there's one for just for cash and stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. So they yeah, it's just a good vibe with it, if you will. But yeah, so it seems cool. Like I said, I've been quickly amassing a decent collection of them, and now it's just a matter of learning how to play them and doing it.
It sounds like something that you can easily retool to fit any system because the story sounds really interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to play.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, even just their art itself, it's just so cool.
Yeah, even like just not just the art, but just their layouts are so good.
Yeah, so that's a good
Who,
way to put it. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
whoever does their graphic design, they have a very distinctive style, and they'll have these great splash pages where like maybe it's a big monster, and like the way that they put all the wording around it looks almost like a video game kind of screen, like really popping in your face. Um, I actually backed one of the Morkborg Kickstarters last year. I don't think I told you, Tim. Um,
No, no, which one?
they made one that is based off of Norse mythology.
Oh,
Um, I can't remember the name of it right now, but like how each like different one of their systems has a distinct color. This one is like a very light pale blue. Um,
ooh, okay.
and so like I'm beginning to email updates to some of the art and everything for that. It looks really, really good. So I'm excited to get that.
Sweet. Yeah, if you ever get a chance to play it, let me know. 'Cause like I
Yeah.
said, you'll probably get to it before me.
Yeah, and they've got tons at this point. I think they've got a pirate themed one. They have that Norse one. They apparently already did a samurai themed one. The punk one you just mentioned, the generic Morkborg, like tons of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just been trying to keep along the like main line Morkborg one, but usually it's the salesman that I talk to from my distributor knows my sensibilities and he likes music and similar things that I do. So when he sees it, he was like, "Oh, I know you're gonna like this," and I'm like, "All right, yeah, just give me it. I'll take
Yep, yep.
it."
Just trust his judgment. Like, yep.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And then I usually get one for the store sometimes, depending, and you never know, somebody will see it and be like, "Oh wow, it just looks cool," and grab it, and then it's a good talking piece too.
Yeah.
I heard that there was going to be starter sets for the new D&D, but I don't know how reliable that rumor is. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything. We haven't gotten like a SKU or anything like pre-order for it. But again, with that, I would assume that that they would they sell very well. That's one of the things that we always just have to restock, and people are always asking for. Um, especially the past couple of years with the big boom of T&D. It's definitely slowed down a little bit more out of the cultural zeitgeist, if you will.
Uh-huh.
Um, but even still, there's still like all the accessories and stuff that people are still very interested in. Um, but the older books, they don't not too many people are really too interested in them anymore, really. But like I said, they're on the wall and they look cool and they're cool talking pieces. People do still grab them and look at them, so they're still an interest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I have the two that were put out for the fifth edition. There were two, right? There weren't three. I'm remembering like two.
Yeah, I think it was two.
And I think there were like two different versions of the starter set and one of the essential set. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of three.
Oh yeah, there was the essentials. Then there's also the Stranger Things one as well.
Yes, and Rick and
Um,
Morty once upon a time too.
yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, that's right. Yes, the Rick and Morty one.
Is Stranger Things still on? I haven't seen that in years.
Um, it's so funny that you're talking about that. Somebody just brought it up to me for the first time on last Thursday. Apparently there is a new season coming out.
Oh,
Yeah, the final season.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess he hasn't. So I've only seen the first. I think I definitely saw the first two. I don't remember if I saw season three or not. But this person had just saw the fifth season. It was like, oh wow, it was really good actually. So he's like, I'm very excited for season six now.
yeah, I think I saw the first two or three seasons also. I can't remember if I saw the third season. The kids must be all grown up by now if they're still keeping with the same family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Zach, have you seen season five, the newest one?
Yeah, Jamie and I have we're current. We started the show
Okay.
late. Like I think we didn't start watching it until like season three was out, but we've been caught up since then.
Okay. How was five?
It was still fun. I think it's one of those things where it's moved pretty far away from like the kind of core that attracted people in the first place, but it comes with the territory of trying to make the story deeper and deeper, and the actors getting older. Working with kid actors is always tough.
Right, and trying to appeal to more and more broad too.
Yeah,
Are they still playing
Um,
Dungeons and Dragons in the series?
they have referenced it. I don't. Oh, wait, yeah, yeah. The most recent season did, because yeah, that was actually I think my favorite season because of it introduced a character who was like the head of the D&D club in their high school, who kind of like rallied them together and everything. And he was like a breakaway character that everybody really liked. Look, Tim, like if you picture like the classic like the '80s metal kid, like with
Yeah.
the sleeveless jean vest and like the long
Hmm.
frizzy hair,
Yep.
That sounds really great. I have to catch up on the other 2 or 3 seasons now because it sounds fascinating. Um, so the starter set, maybe not, but likely. How about any new card games? You mentioned Pokemon and you'd mentioned Magic. Is anything new and exciting happening in Pokemon or beyond? And Zach, you always have card games that are fascinating.
Yeah, so I'll talk about the Pokemon thing real quick. I don't know how much you've seen or how much you keep up with, but like the craziness surrounding Pokemon again.
No, I haven't kept up with it. What's going on?
Okay. So what was it? Probably 4 months ago, 6 months ago, they released like a very popular set that people were going like super crazy for, and then the set that came out after that was also another really really popular set that was hard to get, and then the set again after that was very hard to get and people were going even crazier for. So like there's videos online and even on the news and stuff of like people going to Costco and stuff and fighting, like back like it was like when it
Yes,
first
I
came
remember
out.
those days. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So picture that's what's happening again. So you're familiar with the situation, unfortunately.
That's
Luckily,
bad.
there's no fights or anything, of course, at our store, which is whatever the videos on that you see online.
Yeah,
Um,
our stores put up notices that you can't return the cards.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yep, 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 yep. We have a sign that all TCG sales are final.
Mhm.
um, but but yeah, so it's been pretty tough because like we try to look out for all of our regular customers. So when these people that maybe you always try to figure out a way to describe that maybe they're not in it for the best reasons, like they're just there to buy the product to try to resell it or something. Like what our store is about is the community and being able to talk about the cards and open and have fun and collect and play the game. Um, so we always try to look out for all of our regular people. So it's unfortunately with Pokemon has gotten to the point where with the new stuff that comes out, I don't even put it out on the floor. It's just behind the counter, and my regular Pokemon people come in, and then we interact that way. Unfortunately, um, because the product is just so hard to get, and people are so crazy about it that it just leaves immediately. So, I tried, like I said, we try to look out for the customers that, they can't be there every single day. They can only come once a week or something, which is fine, of course. So we hold it behind the counter for them and yeah, so that's been it's been challenging.
I could imagine, but at least you've come up with a creative and workable solution.
Yeah. So, and then also, there's things with distributors and charging extra and stuff, but that's always fun and insider baseball stuff, I'm sure. But but yeah, so but along the Magic front on a totally different, you know, different mood. New Magic stuff, of course, has been coming out like crazy, as you can imagine, like we always talk about. Um, but this most recent set that just came out, probably a couple weeks ago now, um, has been pretty fun, and it was an idea that at the beginning that I wasn't super sold on. Um, but upon release and actually getting the cards in my hands and seeing them and playing with them online and stuff, it's been really fun actually. But to give you an idea, like picture like almost like pod racing almost from Star
Okay.
Wars. But everybody has their own vehicles and stuff, and then there's races that go through all the different planes and stuff. So it's like a death race speed or a pod racing kind of racing set. So there's been some pretty punny cards that have been coming out too with that. But yeah, so that's been pretty fun. And like I said, I was really surprised and or pleasantly surprised getting the stuff in my hands and seeing like it's been really fun. But um but now of course in typical Magic fashion, the next set is already coming out, sometime at the end of April. Um and they just announced some stuff today, actually. That was watching the like spoiler Twitch stream that they were announcing some stuff. Do you remember? I'm trying to think how many years ago it was, but it was a few years ago. There was a set that came out in Magic called Tarkir, like Cons of Tarkir. Might be
Vaguely,
a
I remember it.
okay. I wasn't sure if it was also tied to D&D or not, but it's a very dragon heavy set. So, dragons, people usually love dragons. So the next set that's coming out, we're going back to Tarkir again. It's called Dragon Storm. Um, so the stuff that they announced, some big, really cool dragons with some really cool art. Um, yeah, it's looking to be really fun, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. So like I said, people really like dragons. It's a big, popular creature type in Magic and in just fantasy, of course. Um, so I think that'll be very fun.
Yeah, my games are very dragon heavy because dragons are very popular.
Yeah.
Uh, Has Wizards of the Coast made like a Magic the Gathering resource guide for D&D? I know they've put out a few sets that are based on Magic the Gathering locations and situations, but the good thing about Magic the Gathering is jumping from plane to plane and the variety of planes that have been explored. I think that'd make an excellent resource, a Dungeon Master's resource for of the planes of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any printed things, which would be smart for them to do because that would be really interesting. Um, there's definitely resources online through them, and then of course just through other Wikipedias. But through like the Gatherer website, which is for Magic and stuff. Then also even just on their like the WPN Wizard site, they have a really good resources page that is a bunch of stuff that's really good actually. But yeah, I don't think anything printed, unfortunately. You would think that that would not be easy for them, but it would be a thing for them to do.
Yeah, it would further tie the two games together and allow for like more crossbreeding D&D things in Magic the Gathering and Magic the Gathering things in D&D.
Right. Yeah. And then, it all crosses over so well, so you would think.
Zach, how about you? Uh, any card games that you've discovered through your quests that you'd like to share or that you've gotten involved in and play tested?
So the newest one that I played that I really enjoyed, I like trick taking as a mechanic. I used to play like Hearts on the computer by myself a lot, and that was back when it was dial up. So that was what I did when things would load. I couldn't read. I didn't know that there was instructions, so I had to slowly learn how to play it, like just by being bad at it. Um, but ever since, that's been like one of my favorite mechanics of board games. And as if they knew, a company put together a Lord of the Rings themed trick taking game. So if we have talked about the game The Crew, which I think we may have once. That is a trick taking game where each level has kind of like stipulations you're trying to reach. So it might say, okay, in this round, we want one player to win every single trick, or this specific player needs to win this specific card, things like that. So this is an adaptation of those mechanics to feature Lord of the Rings and follow along the first book. So presumably they're going to be doing the second and the third. The art style is really nice. They did kind of like a stained glass theme, so everything is very colorful and like classical looking. The idea is each chapter that you play is a correlating chapter of the book, And then based off of a little blurb from the chapter, they give you unique rules for what you're trying to do in that round. So there's the different suits. In this case, they're geographical locations, which kind of fits the theme of like traveling and wandering. So you have like forests, mountains, shadow is kind of its own thing. And so, for example, you have chapters that have specific characters that must be played and optional characters that can be played. So for the first chapter, I believe you have to have Frodo to play. And then it gives you like a list of like 3 or 4 other ones that, depending on how many players you have, you can have different ones in. Every different character has different mechanics and stipulations beyond whatever the chapter states. So Frodo always starts with the one of the ring suit, which there's only a single card of. And if he ever loses that card in the trick, it's just game over. Because if he loses the one ring, but then they have other things where, like, Pippin can only win 2 tricks, I think it is. And if he wins any more than that, everyone loses. So it's an entirely cooperative game where you're trying to balance the character's rules with the chapter's rules. And you'll have instances where that gets very difficult. Like we had the chapter where Glorfindel in the book helps protect them and get them to Rivendell when he's like fighting off the Nazgul and like getting Frodo to Rivendell. What they did for that one is Glorfindel has to be played, and he has to win every single card of the Shadow suit because he's like defeating the Shadows. And you need to do it like multiple times because you also need to get like another 4 characters to have reached their goals, which means you have to do like, we got a round of me, Jamie, and Scott. We've got the required character of Glorfindel. We've got Frodo and Sam. We beat it with those 3, but because we also need to have, say, Gandalf and Strider, we now need to redo that chapter with Glorfindel, Gandalf, and Strider and do the exact same thing again. I think we got to chapter 8 or 9 out of 12. We did the whole thing in one sitting, got that far. And then we haven't sat down to finish it out, but that's been a very fun and quick and easy card game.
It sounds great. There's a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff I saw in Target last time I was there. The trilogy, the Silmarillion, a few of the other books that were published by Christopher Tolkien of his father's writings. Then there seems to be a game or a cartoon or something about the Rohirrim, and then there were coloring books based on other projects. So it's been years since I was into the Lord of the Rings, but I thought of you because there were just so many Lord of the Rings things.
Yeah, and I think recently they just put out like really nice illustrated editions of The Hobbit, the trilogy, and the Silmarillion, and it's one of those things where like I really want to get them from a collecting standpoint, but they're expensive, and I already have 2 or 3 copies of the books, so it's like I don't need them.
I know. My 2 favorite expandable fantasy board games were acquired by Hasbro, Talisman and Hero Quest. And I'd like to have them too, just to have them. But in reality, who am I going to play them with? The years, the years that passed since I last had a bunch of people interested in playing it are like in the decades already. So, and they're expensive, like $50 each boxes, lots of
Yeah,
boxes. But I would like to have them because they brought back a lot of cherished gaming memories.
that's when I was a kid, I found a used copy of the original Hero Quest at a yard sale.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was missing like half of the stuff you needed to actually play, so I didn't even have the rule books. I got it, and like we would just sit there and kind of like make up rules because we had no idea what you were supposed to do.
I still use the board and some of the figures, the board and the doors. Uh,
Mm,
Pretty much any way you want to arrange a dungeon, it's real easy and again, it's customizable. So I think I found a second one once in a garage sale for a quarter, just the board. So I got that. So I have 2.
ooh, nice.
It's somebody brought some to the store actually, and it's not something that we normally deal with in store, but I was like, "Ooh, this is too cool to just
Yes.
let." walk away, so I was like, hey, I'll buy it for me personally. So I have some stuff in I have some Hero
Oh,
Quest
very
stuff
cool.
in the basement because like they're just cool. I'll
Yeah,
never play it or anything, but
the original game came with, I think, 10 quests, and then each expansion had an additional 10 quests. And you used the same board in the original ones, except they had like different tiles that you could also use, and new characters, and new monsters, and new things to purchase. The rules were really, really simple, so you could learn how to play very quickly. And it was all players, with one person being the dungeon master, or the lore master, or the game master. I forget what they called it. Now with the new one that came out, you can um, you can have players playing the game, and there's a way of having like an artificial app for the game that
Mhm.
runs the game, so that adds a whole new dimension to it. Still too expensive for me to get one just to play it by myself.
Yeah.
And how about video games? It's been a while since we discussed those. Anything new and exciting coming out?
Yeah, so actually, something cool. So there's all right. So with Xbox and well, and with PlayStation as well, but more so with Xbox, they introduced a thing called achievements. Um, it's on Steam. It's everywhere now. Where basically, as you're playing through the game, there's set things that if you do this certain parameter of things, you get an achievement, and it just gives you an artificial score, and then you can just keep track, right? Um, but it's always for newer stuff. So there's a website. Zach, did I show you this? Oh yeah, no, Zach, I did show you this. Um, so there's a website, it's called Retro Achievements, and basically it's user submitted achievements for a bunch of old retro games. So if you can think of it, like I'm sure like Gauntlet Legends and stuff is gonna be on there, I'm sure. And
Uh-huh.
and everything, all the Marios, everything you can imagine, Pokemon. Um, so what it does is you make an account, and as you play these old games, you unlock achievements, and you can keep track of stuff, and there's a leaderboard on the website and stuff. Um, so there's a guy that comes to the store, he's a teacher, and he loves achievement hunting, is what it's affectionately called. Um, so he has a little portable. It's like a Game Boy. It's a Game Boy sized thing that has a bunch of retro ROMs on it, and this certain Game Boy handheld lets you log into this Retro Achievements website. So as you're playing on this portable Game Boy, it's also uploading your achievements as you play. So it's really fun, and it's a cool, just adds another thing to replay old games with.
Yes.
Um, so like as you're replaying Pokemon, it's like, oh, collect 10, electric Pokemon, and you get an achievement for it, and but it's all user submitted ones. So, if you wanted to make some for Gauntlet Legends, it could be uploaded to it, and then people can unlock those achievements. Um, so he actually made me my own personal little
Oh,
portable Game
wow.
Boy. Yeah,
That is great.
own little portable Game Boy thing. I have it right here in my hands right now. But yeah, so he loaded up some ROMs on it, and he logged into the Retro Achievements website for me and stuff, and yeah, so it's been that's what I've been playing. I've been playing um Mario Golf for Game Boy Advance and getting achievements on that.
I remember Mario Golf.
It's one of my favorite. I love the Mario Golf and Mario Tennis. Those are just some of my favorite games because it's just easy and fun, and there's not too much of a commitment, and then I don't know, just yeah. But yeah, so it gives old games the whole new life again. Um, and what's fun too is that I told M about it, my the other person at work, and because he's a huge achievement hunter, achievement guy. So if you look at his profile on Xbox, it's got 100,000 achievement score and like all of this
Wow.
stuff. And it'll tell you how many games you like 100%ed, like how many you've got all of the achievements in. Um, So I was telling him about this, and he's not usually like a ROM guy, like he likes the original stuff. But then I was telling you about the achievements, and I saw it in his eyes and on his face, and he was like, "Ooh, okay, that is interesting," because he really likes Advance Wars.
Uh-huh.
So it's an older like tactics style game. It's really really fun actually. But I told him, I was like, I showed him the achievements for Advance Wars too. I was like, you can get your achievements in Advance Wars like you never could before. So I'm thinking about making him one as well and giving it to him for early birthday or something.
I have to check into that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's been fun. So that's kind of been what's been taking up my video game time, and then my other hobbies have been pulling me in other directions at the moment. So I haven't been playing too much board games or anything, unfortunately, right now. But
Yeah, I've had a little time to play games recently as well. I play games when I run games. That's when I get my chance to play games.
mhm.
But I don't play as many as I used to. And I miss that. Zach, how about you? What video games or computer games have you been playing or have you discovered?
One of them you would actually probably really like the series. It's called Voice of Cards. It's
Hmm.
a an
Mm.
older school RPG, like turn-based RPG. This is the third game in the series. They're all unrelated. They're not set in the same world. It just uses the same like mechanics and system. The entire game is visually depicted through cards, and each game has a different voice actor who acts as a DM type character and narrates the story and everything that happens to you. So it's meant to be played like listening to headphones, or like you have to have sound on. You don't want to play it in silence. Um, but the way they do everything is very nice. Like cards are face down on the map, and as you move to a tile, the tiles touching you flip face up so you can see what those cards are, and you explore maps that way. When you get into a fight, the enemies are cards and your characters are cards. And then the way they do their kind of like mana system is cool. You start with 2 points out of 10. You gain one every turn, and then higher level abilities will cost them. Some higher level ones will let you spawn more. You get to customize your character's like 5 card deck of what skills they have available. This one, I'm only maybe an hour into it because I had all three and I like played one every year, every other year kind of thing. But just thematically, as someone, and I know that you can empathize with this, as someone who is always the DM, it's a very nice experience to almost get like a solo like RPG kind of thing going,
Uh-huh.
because the voice actors do a very good job of like really feeling like they're actually telling you the story as opposed to just reading lines off of a sheet.
That sounds interesting. What is it called again?
Voice of Cards.
Voice of Cards. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah,
I would
I'm watching
recommend.
a video now, and it looks really interesting. The art is crazy.
Yeah, the
It's a
art's really
Square
good.
Enix game too. It's interesting.
Yeah, the music, especially the music in the first one, is killer. And that's I do recommend the first one so far. Again, I only just started the third one, so I'm not sure like how that'll hold up as it goes. But between the first two, I enjoyed the first one way more. The characters were way more not outlandish, but they were had more pop. They felt like they had more character. Like your main character, instead of being like the typical like hero type, he's just a sword who's out to get money. Like he's just a dude, and he deliberately most of the story is like, nope, I don't want to get involved unless you're paying me. Like, they give you options to kind of like skirt around quests because he's like, I don't want to get involved. I don't care. I just want money. And like watching him grow and stuff. But so that one had a lot of fun, weird characters, and I had the best time with that one for sure.
Well, that sounds exciting. That sounds like a lot of fun.
And it
And
looks like it's on iOS and Android too, like mobile stuff. So a good game. That is it like possible like you can play for a little bit and then stop and then go back to it, or is it something that you really want to sit down for an hour or two and get and go through?
I usually do larger chunks, but that's just my play style. But it like you can save literally anywhere, so it's one of those ones where you can be like, okay, do like 30 minutes exploring the dungeon or grinding or something, and then come back later and do another 30 minutes something later. Um, it's just a really cool concept as a system, and I hope that they keep putting games out for it because, kind of like we were saying with Morkborg, it is so malleable. You can do anything because it. Not to put it on the capitalist side of things, I'm sure it costs them less money to make than most other games because there's
Hmm.
very little animation. Everything is flat 2D art that usually doesn't move or change. So it's the kind of thing I wouldn't be surprised if they put out almost like an RPG Maker equivalent that people could do their own stuff with because it's
Okay.
so approachable as a system.
That was fun back in the day, the RPG makers. I remember when they had those for the earlier systems. They were a lot of fun, and it was great to create arcade type games and role playing games as well.
Yeah, they're still popular. When we get copies of it for like PlayStation 1 and stuff, people buy them very quickly, because they're getting harder to come by, and people still make and upload games online with them. Some of the bigger games like indie games are made on RPG Maker.
I might still have it somewhere in the box. I haven't had a chance to look through my boxes, but when I do, I'll be making a trip down to level one games.
Yeah, I'm sure you got some cool stuff.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a while. I think last time I came, you weren't there or something. We were in the area,
Mm, okay. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen our paths haven't crossed at the store lately.
but they will.
Yes, yes, certainly.
Now, how is your growing empire? You built an empire of alliances with other gaming stores and related pop culture stores, and you were having events together last time we spoke, and you seem to have like a really good network where it was a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, yep. Actually, just yesterday I was talking with his name is also Tim. I brought him up. He owns a store up in Andover, like in the antique, like historic district in Andover. So it's a really nice, really cool spot. It's in the old grist mill, actually, from who knows, 17 or 1800 or something crazy. Um, but yeah, so I was just talking with him yesterday, setting up our future Pokemon events. So like you said, so that we can make sure that we're not crossing paths, and that his customers can come down to us and ours can go to him. We share a lot of friends that come back and forth, so we want to make sure that everybody everybody can play, and everybody can attend all the events that they want to attend. um but uh but yeah, so yeah, we're still in contact with a bunch of people. I actually might be swinging by Zap Comics over in Wayne tomorrow just to go say hello, because a couple of their guys came by the other week. So yeah, yeah, it's great. It's great when local stores like ours, especially stuff like us. It's a little bit more niche. There's going to
Right.
be crossover with customers, and why not? Everybody get along. um, there's actually a record store that's over in Pumpton Lakes. That's a really nice record store. It's in an old train station. It's actually called Station One, is the name of the record store.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, like people ask us like, "Hey, do you guys buy records?" And like, "No, we don't, but our friends over here do." Um, so it's great to be able to help everybody out, and then like I said, they send people over to us with video game stuff. They do a little bit of video game stuff, but not too much. Um, but uh but yeah, like it's great being able to help everybody out, and making friends with everybody. Like we're all same mindset, we're all doing the same kind of thing, so I would assume that we would all have like I said, similar mindsets and get along. So yeah, it's just great making new friends, and helping each other out when we can.
that is a phenomenal thing, and I'm glad that you're doing it. That is so great.
Yeah, it's been fun, and some of the some of the best people I've met ever, doing this. So it's been an interesting ride, certainly. Who would have thought? What is it? Next year will be 10 years. Like what?
Wow.
Like that's a huge milestone. And 10 years of a privately owned business, and especially doing this kind of thing. Who would have thought?
Well, you brought something new to it, and I'm glad that it's still working out for you. That is phenomenal. You're doing something you care about deeply, and you're succeeding at it. That is to be greatly admired.
Yeah, it's been fun, and every so often it gets frustrating. I'm sure you've owned a private business before, but every so often you have to step back and like I tell it to my customers that I'm super close with, that you step back, and at the end of the day, what are we doing, or what am I doing? We're selling cards, we're selling video games, we're talking to cool people, we're hanging out, we're making conversation. So how bad is it really? So yeah, it's just it's been fun. So it's good.
That's a very positive way of looking at it. The dungeon mastering activities that I've been doing locally for like years, and not locally when I wasn't living locally. But that's become a business all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I'm paying customers and I'm doing it
Oh.
several times a week. So that didn't start off as a business, but it became a business in time. And looking at what I'm doing currently, most of it is dungeon mastering.
That's great, right?
Yeah, it just happened, it
Right.
seems.
It's perfect.
And Zach, how
I,
about
I love that can be a thing too.
Yeah, I didn't know it could be a thing. Now I've been looking at YouTube videos. It is a thing. Other people are doing it as well. So I'm watching the videos, trying to learn what people liked, what people didn't like, where people had problems, and so forth, so I could improve my own game.
Yeah, that's great.
How about you, Zach? You do a lot of gaming. Are you running any games at present?
Yeah, I'm running the three games at present. So I have the two Pokemon games set in the same country. Our IRL group was on a bit of a hiatus for a bit. But we just started back up this past Saturday. Um, the online group has been going consistently, usually like one session a month. And my L5R game, we just had session 18 or 19. Um, and that was a lot of fun. Uh, the session already happened, so I can talk about it. They were trying to get to this ruined castle that was stuck in the Shadowlands, which is the area of misery and terrible evil. And long ago, demons had managed to wrest this castle from the crab's control and take it over. And it's been an insult ever since. The family that used to own it now doesn't have the land anymore. They constantly want to like organize sorties to go and reclaim it. So in this arc, they kind of volunteered themselves to essentially perform a scouting party
Mhm.
because the family was like, oh, like our research has shown that for some reason, all the monsters that are usually there, like it's usually full of an evil army and all this stuff, like they don't appear to be there. There doesn't appear to be a lot of movement. There's no troops. So maybe it's a good time to retake it. So rather than commit like big forces to it, the party volunteered to go and check that out themselves and report back. So session 17 ended. They had come through a hidden tunnel in the mountains to get their first view of the ruined castle, which is kind of in a valley in like a ring of mountains, this dilapidated ruin of what used to be a proud, strong fortress. And that's where that session ended. So session 18, okay, what I've been doing is there's a timeline. So we have been doing every week for the 3 months of winter. When they got to the castle, it was the third week of December. So they were expecting to pick up exactly there at the beginning of the next session. But I opened the next session. I said, it is the last week of January. Winter Council is almost at an end. You returned victorious from your quest several weeks ago, and the dining hall is made up in honor of the hero of the hour, Utaku Megumi, who is one of the player characters. And all of them immediately just kind of paused and they were on the back foot. They're like, because I had them recap what happened last time and then immediately jumped to this. And so they slowly figured out they were in some kind of dream, illusion, whatever, like an abstraction, and something was trying to get information out. And eventually, like they managed to kind of break the dream. And instead of them waking up, I just said, "It is the last week of January. Winter Council is almost at an end. You return victorious from your, and this time it was everything was devoted to a different character, and everyone was trying to get answers out of this character. And so I had like a list of seven, five party members and two NPCs that were on the quest. And each one of them, they had that dream where like each one was being celebrated as you're the one who solved the problem. How did you do it? And
That is clever.
I thought it would be fun, and they immediately like rocked it, and they're like, we know we're an illusion, but we don't know how to break out of it, so we're just gonna do all sorts of random stuff. Like at one point, they visit the library and they open books, and all the books are blank because it's a dream. And so the character's like, all right, I'm going to light one of the books on fire and put it back in the library bookcase, and just like lit the entire castle on fire. And so the telling point that they knew something was off was that one of the NPCs that was with them was missing, and none of the like dream characters knew who it was. And so, like, they eventually finally they find out they're in a dream because there's a room magically sealed in this castle that these two really powerful monsters who have taken over the keep, which is why there's no smaller monsters here because these two are so big, the other ones are scared of them. They're trying to find this door, and they think the PCs have the knowledge of how to get to it, especially because one of the PCs is a cartographer who started this arc with knowledge the other players didn't have, that there was a secret room in the castle. And so as the dreams went on, they realized that he was the one who most likely had the information because, again, he's the cartographer. So they started pressing him. They simulated, I think I said 100 years of torture. And so I started like rapid firing scenes of like, oh, you're tied to a rack and they're, like pouring salt and cuts on your chest. And then it's the last week of January, but and, like alternating until it got to the point where like, it's the last week of January. You've been tied up and hung upside down in the dungeons for 20 years, like slowly just ratcheting it up until he like couldn't tell them what they wanted because he didn't know it yet. And so then like they kind of snapped out of it at that point, found out the character that had been like missing in the dreams had snapped out of her dream right away and had been like watching over their bodies while they were trapped in this like mystic sleep. They so then they found out that the way to get to the sealed room, the cartographer has an eye patch because he's missing an eye. The big monster that controls the castle is known as the Watcher, and it's described as like a very emaciated old like monk type character with mouths where his eyes should be, but hundreds of eyes covering him everywhere else. Every time he kills someone, he takes their eyes and they grow on his body.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to make this to be continued.
Sorry.
No. This is fascinating. We're going to start with that next time.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks to both of you. I've missed this conversation. I'm glad we had it today, and I'm looking forward to it resuming again on schedule. How can people contact you? We'll start with Zach, since I cut off his story.
No, you're good. You're good. You could always look me up on Facebook, email me at Mr. Moonin, MrMunnin@gmail.com. And I recently made a blogger site where I have converted all of my session notes from my 3 campaigns to, if any, for anyone who wants to read them, kind of thing.
Ooh, send that over.
Yeah, send that over. And Tim, how can people find you in Level 1 Games?
Yeah, so the best way is just on Facebook and on Instagram. It's just Level 1 Game Store, I think is what it is on Facebook and Instagram. But if you just look up Level 1 Games, it comes up. like I usually say, whenever we get new cool stuff, we post it up on there. Whenever we do our events, they also get posted up on there with our schedule and everything. If there's ever any questions, you can just send us a message or give us a call. There's always somebody there. So yeah, be happy to help.
And it's a great place to visit, and it's always different. It's
Yep.
always
Yep.
novel. And next time we'll talk about the card sorting machines adventures.
Oh yes, yes.
As well. Thank you so very much, gentlemen. I wish you success in all your endeavors. I enjoyed our conversation very much, and I'm looking forward to next month.
Same
Yep.
here.
Great talking to you. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful evening.
You
All right,
too.
you too. Thank you.